Hi there, this is Anna from AnnaBlendz Designs, and I'm happy to introduce some prismatic color to your Monday morning. It is extremely snowy here in Colorado, and so I'm very grateful to have these colorful supplies to play with. It's been a while since I've been in this space, and I wanted to change things up again by not necessarily showing you through the entire release, but perhaps showing you my top 5 favorite things. So starting with the ArtPlay Palette Prismatic, I am slightly enamored with the different papers. This combination of red, blues, yellows, and greens tends to be a favorite of mine. I come back to it over and over again over the years. And then you can see the signature gold leaves that I like to include in my fall and autumn themed artistry palettes. And I love how this paint here looks almost like a tree. So this could be an outdoor landscape or even a mountainscape kind of scenario. Lots of opportunity to incorporate sky into the mix as well. Love this solid paper with those gold leaves in there. And this is pretty neat too, with a few sketchy lines. So the artsy papers are a top favorite. I am also pretty happy with how these word arts came out. And I say word arts because I've actually included 2 different versions in this set to accommodate both the spellings, one without the U, one with the U. And I really like the way this bevel on the wood gives this word art or this woodword extra dimension. So you'd simply just go ahead and add a drop shadow layer style to these words and to give them a really great effect. So that's my second top thing about the ArtPlay Prismatic Collection. Also love these multimedia documents. I'm going to go into number 1, and you can see that I've included these layers individually, so you can drag these onto your layouts and arrange them as you wish. And then you can also bring the PSD file. And I like how these different pieces, all these different layers add dimension and therefore visual interest into the mix. And this one, the circle frame, actually happens to be my favorite one of the series. And then number 4, I love the Prismatic FotoBlendz. So these are pretty neat because if you go ahead and open up the PSD file and bring it into your workspace, you can see that all of these layers are individual. So this gives you the opportunity to move these different photo glows around your canvas. You can also go to image adjustment, hue and saturation. In Photoshop Elements, that's enhance, adjust color, hue and saturation. And you can change the hue of these different gradients. And so that allows you to customize the colors over the top of your photos. And then, of course, if you are not using Photoshop, then you have the individual layers in which you can layer them within the program of your choosing. And then finally would be the bonus that comes with this collection. In the bonus, you get this artsy paper, which I actually use to create a layout. And towards the end of this video, I'll open that up for you so you can take a peek, and we'll take a look at how those were put together. I also provided some fun layout ideas for you to use these different products to create 5 easy peasy layouts of your own. So super fun there. There were a couple of other word arts in the mix, but I actually wanted to spend the time today and go ahead and look at some of the layouts that the creative team have made for AnnaBlendz Designs. So I wanted to start with this one. I really like how Viv has created a leaf sort of flower, and then she's kind of dotted it with this actual flower. So I really like this element cluster that she's created. And then of course she's used one of those layout designs that I created in order to use the Prismatic FotoBlendz with that multimedia document to create a simple design. She's also customized her title by using one of the word words and adding in a word of her own. And then the same multimedia document grouping here has been used by Marnie, and she's used the leaves in a very similar fashion to Viv, but she's kind of tucked them behind that frame area. And I love how that these frames sort of blend into the Prismatic FotoBlendz, and that's one of the reasons I've started including these layout ideas in the bonus collection that you get when you purchase the entire release, because it really does give you insight into how these products are all designed to fit together in one collection. The next one is by Heather. I love that she used a photo of herself, and I like how she has contained the image within the area of the artistry of the template, and then she's sort of created an area for her title work and her journaling using one of those multimedia documents. So it sort of sandwiches and draws the eye into the text. This is where Laura has used the same multimedia document scenario, but she's combined it with one of those Prismatic FotoBlendz, and she's sort of drawn the eye to the subject. I believe this is her grandson with the various elements. So you can see these are the elements that are included with the multimedia document, and then she's also added in some this side. It's kind of cute how this flower kind of comes over his head and sort of contains him. But two different ways to use that same multimedia element. Also notice too how she's rotated that artsy paper by 90 degrees to change its orientation. The next one is by Joan. She's used the template. She always does a lovely job here. I really like how she's contained the image within the area of that sky design on the background. And then, of course, she's contained the image down at the bottom here using the paper texture in the template as well. So just a really great way to add a photo into the mix. And she's also taken some of those elements and embellished the side of the supporting photos. This one is by Margot, and I love how she's placed the photo over the top of the paper pieces, and you can see how the dimension of the pieces come through the image. So I think that that's really a super fun way to showcase your images. It really adds visual interest to allow some of that dimension and texture to come through. And then we have Marnie's layout here. She's used that same design, but notice how she's made it much smaller to draw focus onto her focal photo in the background here. So she's got a much larger photo that's been blended into the background with a supporting image using that multimedia document. Another one by Marnie here. In fact, we've got Marnie and we've got Viv, and they've used the same paper, two different photos, two different ways. And funnily enough, they've actually both used various components of the same multimedia document here. You can see that Viv has used the paper with the leaf and just the stitching. She's actually removed the envelope part, whereas Marnie's used the envelope to create sort of a mat for her image. This one is by Luann, and she's more of a digital artist than a digital scrapbooker. I love how she took those elements, those flower elements, and she's ran them through some sort of filter, either on her iPad or in Photoshop, and she's created this kind of crown of flowers. She's added them to this spooky image, layering the gold leaves and the transfers over the top to create a really cool effect. This one by Trish is fairly straightforward, just some really pretty flowers that coordinate with Artsy Paper #1 from the ArtPlay Palette Prismatic Collection. And then I like how Margot here has taken the frames from the template and she's rotated them by 90 degrees. So instead of having these portrait style frames, we've now got these landscape style frames. She's got a great piece of stitching on there and this lovely cluster. I love how the flowers appear to be kind of growing out the bottom of the earth into the photos. You've kind of got the ground and then you've got the sky, and we're transitioning into the artistry in the background. So you've got the earth and the road, and then you've got the sky and the sky of the background. I like the fun multicolor effect that she's also applied to her title there. This one is by Ulame, and lots of really cool things happening here. She's used the clipping mask to accentuate some of the elements. I love how too she's brought in elements from previous collections. I don't think that you can ever underestimate the power of being able to combine the different elements from your different ArtPlay palettes to really enhance your scrapbooking and artistry. Another one here by Viv. I like how she's taken the frame element and she's really minimized it and made this really small cluster here, sort of anchors the eye and, well, draws the eye from the focal point over to the left hand side of the page, and you can see how that space is bridged by this really fun title here. And then this one from Christy. I love how her photo just seems to blend seamlessly into these subtle watercolor textures. So that's really pretty there too. In contrast, there's less sort of blending here. There's more containment happening. And if you're interested in learning more about containment, then check out my AnnaBlendz Bundle that's available in the store at AnnaAspenusDesigns.com. There's a number of different videos, 12 of them entitled Taken Over the Course of a Year, in which I demonstrate through a series of deconstructions this containing technique. That's how you basically blend a dark color photo into a light color background. But I think that the contrast here is really quite dramatic, and I like how she's embellished the edges. Again, this leads the eye from one side of the canvas to the other, bouncing back and forth to ensure that the viewer really does see the image that's being portrayed. And then finally, we've got one by Maggie here of her and her sweet husband traveling around the Zion National Park. Again, she has used one of those multimedia elements and she's combined it with one of those prismatic FotoBlendz and placed it literally on a artsy background. So the pieces here are very simple to put together. I have my layout here that I created using this collection, so I thought it would be fun to perhaps just go through and show you how I put this layout together. So if I go ahead and perhaps just turn off some of these, I'm going to just group some of these together. So here's the multimedia document, part of it anyway. I didn't use the full thing. You can see that I used the paper texture and the leaves and the stitching. And then I have my FotoBlendz Clipping Mask, to which I have my photo clipped. So I'm going to go ahead and just group those together and turn that off. And then you can see that I have the underlying areas of that. So there's a lot more layers to this. Let's go ahead and group these. So you can see now that these are the two parts of the FotoBlendz. So you could actually have them without the artistry or with the artistry. And so what I did was, with this particular collection of FotoBlendz, is I saved them in 2 to 3 or 4 layers so that those not using Photoshop would be able to choose whether they wanted to include that embellishment or simply just use the mask with those color gradients over the top. And then I added a couple of splatters. Those were part of the multimedia documents. Let's go ahead and move those up here like this. And then I have the title. So here's the background paper that I started with. This is the bonus paper that you get when you purchase the Anna release as a collection. And then I added in the FotoBlendz Clipping Mask. And so if I go ahead and turn off the photo layer, then you can see that's how it looked before. And then I added in the multimedia document, and you can see down here originally I had this in here like that, and I could have gone ahead and erased this area here, but I just decided I was going to go ahead and just leave this area as is. And then we've got a nice white open space here, and so I decided that that would be a really good place to add the title. And again, I'm really loving this white wood with the beveled edge, and that fits quite nicely in there. So I selected words from the titles from the word art to create this word art. So originally, Life's What You Create, this was a word art piece, and I went ahead and used this lasso tool to select the create part from that word art, remove it, and then I replaced it with this here. So that was how I created that layout. So it's a super fun collection to play with, especially at this time of year, particularly in Colorado where we're having crazy snow and record lows. And so it's really nice to enjoy this color. And again, I have the option here to move these photo glows around my canvas if I wanted to. So I can move them away from the photo, I can move them over the photo. I can change the blending modes, so I can differ the different blending modes that I have available to me. You can, of course, change the opacity of any of the layers. You can also go to that image adjustment, hue and saturation, or in Elements, that's enhance, adjust color, hue and saturation, and you can change the hue of any of these. You can also change the saturation, even the lightness or the darkness. So you have a lot of options here to be able to customize the different color options that you have available to you to coordinate with your photos. Anyway, it's been super fun to be back here. Thought I'd get a little practice in, as I will be coming up with a brand new live class in the next couple of weeks. And I wanted to share this wonderful collection with you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me at AnnaBlendz and have fun creating. Hope to be back in this space again very soon. Take care.